Can you feel the crackle in the Detroit air? That electric buzz has been missing just a little too long? Is this the year when the Lions finally grab the chaos of the NFL's toughest schedule and turn it into their greatest advantage? Imagine this, while everyone else is breaking under the weight of what's called the hardest slate in football. What if Detroit just might have found a secret crack in that brutal armor, a hidden edge no one expected and nobody's talking about? Mash that like button and drop your belief in the comments if you're ready for the Lions to flip the script. Because the whispers from the Motor City echo louder than ever. Murmurs slipping around the practice field and inside the locker room. Shockwaves rattling confidence in other kingdoms of the NFC North. Insiders talk of quiet strength blooming where the pressure's supposed to crush the soul. They say the offensive line, yes, that oft-doubted, often criticized core of our team after Frank Ragno's retirement, might just be Detroit's secret weapon. You heard me right. While the world expects our offensive line to falter, to fracture under the blitz-heavy assaults from opponents like Kansas City, Buffalo, and that pesky Vikings defense led by Brian Flores, the truth hides in plain sight. The first 5 weeks light up with defenses no more for standing down than throwing their bodies forward in blitzes, with aging stars whose best years are veering into memory's territory. The Packers' Kenny Clark, once a juggernaut, now shows signs of wear. The Bears' Grady Jarrett, past his prime, hardly the terror he once was. The Ravens' Matapuku, despite a flashy contract, stalls in consistent pressure. And the Bengals' defensive front, while noisy, lacks the sting to truly disrupt. This means as our interior offensive line gels Christian Mahogany, Tate Ratledge, and rookie dynamo Graham Glasgow come into form with savvy depth like Tristan Colon and a bench that's no longer a punchline. The schedule hands them the mercy of defenses that slice less, blitz less, and give our guys that precious breathing room to build chemistry. Think about that. The Lions often handed Doom's hardest path, getting exactly this kind of break early on to nurture a unit that's the foundation for every potential deep playoff run. Remember the heartbreaks etched in the annals of Detroit football, the near misses that left us clutching hope and bruised hearts, the slow, painful rebuilds of past decades where even the offense couldn't find a spark. This could be the eruption that finally burst the dam, the moment when the line not only holds the fort, but opens the gates to glory, setting the stage for the run the city's been thirsting for since Barry roared across the field. But what if these whispers are just the calm before the storm? What if trust in this youthful interior jinxes the chemistry, breaking the locker room's fragile bond just as the schedule shifts to face real blitz machines like Todd Bowles' Buccaneers? Could this fragile piece shatter into chaos, or could it ignite a firestorm that roasts opponents not only through steel blocks, but through unshakable confidence? The stakes feel colossal. The heartaches of past seasons pressure every snap, every call, every single inch gained on the gridiron. And if this subtle domino begins to fall, if the Lions' offensive line emerges from this disguised breather as a newfound fortress, it might just unleash the wildest, most electrifying offseason Detroit has ever witnessed. A crescendo of hope roaring louder than Ford Field itself. So hold your breath, because the first crack of this season's bat might echo a revolution nobody saw coming. Buckle up, Lions faithful, tighten that chin strap and brace for impact, because what we're standing on right now isn't turf. It's a fault line, and the tremors underfoot might just signal the eruption of a new era in Detroit football. You want a rallying cry? Here it is. Asterisk, sharpen the claws, steel the nerves, and prepare to maul the doubts, because this team isn't just ready, it's hungry. Asterisk, inside that locker room, there's a shift happening, a quiet defiance taking root not in bold declarations, but in silent determination, in the way the offensive line is starting to move in sync, like clock gears built in Motor City metal. Word is leaking out. Like a pressure valve slowly hissing before the explosion, coaches privately whispering that Mahogany's footwork has reached another level. Ratledge is anchoring better than anyone expected. And Glasgow, that kid, he's not just learning, he's leading. And it's not just technique or muscle. its attitude, swagger, that gritty brand of Detroit football that's been missing since the Calvin and Stafford days, when hope was high but the support around them too thin to hold. Now, insiders. Say the trenches are becoming a war zone in practice, not from failure, but from excellence sharpening excellence. Jared Goff's been spotted staying after reps to run cadence drills with the second unit, not because he has to, but because he feels it coming. And here's the twist the league isn't ready for. While media pundits keep circling matchups like vultures predicting the fall, there's growing belief inside Allen Park that the Lions might hit their stride just in time for the gauntlet stretch, when Tampa, Minnesota, and Kansas City loom like final bosses in a playoff video game. And that belief, it's contagious. The defensive line's been feeding off it too, pushing harder, anticipating that with a dominant O-line, the offense will control time of possession, forcing opposing teams into desperation throws turning. Games into pickfest for a secondary that's finally finding its teeth. But let's not ignore the elephant in the room, Frank Ragno's absence. That void isn't just physical, it's spiritual. And there's been some noise quiet, under the radar grumbling, that if this new line can't keep it together through week 4, there's talk of pulling in a veteran reinforcement, a wild card addition from free agency that could either stabilize the line or fracture the progress. Imagine the chemistry built by these young dogs being disrupted by a mid-season mercenary with no roots in Detroit's culture. Do you risk that? Or do you double down on your draft picks, ride or die with the rookies, and pray they mature faster than the schedule allows? And if you do, if they respond, if they rise, the entire NFC North could shift beneath our cleats. Bears fans will be left wondering why their own rebuild feels like molasses. Packers Nation will have to confront that the post-Rodgers honeymoon is over. And Minnesota? If Detroit smashes through Fleury's defense, it could trigger panic changes. Over there, maybe, even another coaching reset. This isn't just about getting to the playoffs anymore. It's about redefining who owns this division for the next 5 years. And the Lions, yes, your Lions stand one solid wall of protection away from rewriting history. But if this engine stalls, even for a second, all that pressure, all that history, all those echoes of Orlovsky running out the back of the end zone, of blown fourth-quarter leads, of Caldwell's firing and Millen's disasters come flooding back to haunt us. So ask yourself, are we finally watching the offensive line become the iron backbone of a championship contender? Or are we about to find out that even the strongest steel can bend under the weight of Detroit's tortured past? And so, Detroit, I ask you, are you ready to storm the gates of destiny with Kirby leading the charge? To seize this moment before it slips like smoke through our fingers once more? Because when the lights dim and the crowd quiets, one question remains burning hot. Will this be the year the Lions finally roar louder than the ghosts of yesterday? Or will the cycle of heartbreak claim yet another victim in the shadow of Ford Field? Because in Detroit, football isn't just a game. It's a fight for identity. A roar passed down through generations who've known more pain than parades, more grit than glory. But every season, every snap, we come back louder, prouder, and more determined than ever. So whatever storms ahead, whatever headline hits next, just remember, we don't flinch, we don't fold, and we sure as hell don't back down. We are Lions, and one day soon, the league won't just hear our roar. They'll be silenced by it.